She needs to be examined at the hospital. He wrote the prescription and handed it to Victor. The pharmacy next door is still open. You can fill this while Nurse Maria helps. Clean, Sophie. Victor looked uncertainly between the doctor and his daughter. She will be fine. Dr. Bennett assured him. We will just remove the gel and print the ultrasound. Images. I will meet you at the pharmacy in a few minutes. Victor took the prescription reluctantly and left the room, glancing at Sophie one last time before closing the door. As soon as they left, Maria gently began cleaning the gel from Sophie's abdomen. You will be fine, dear, she said softly. Sophie's eyes suddenly filled with tears. She kicks when she hears his voice, she whispered. I hate that she responds to him. Dr. Bennett and Maria exchanged alarmed looks. The statement hung in the air, loaded with ambiguous meaning. Sophie, Dr. Bennett said. Carefully, Maria, what do you mean by that? But Sophie had fallen silent again, her brief openness gone. Dr. Bennett tried to interpret her words. Perhaps she was upset about her pregnancy and was projecting those feelings toward her father. Or maybe Victor had been angry about the pregnancy and she was expressing resentment. What has happened, he said softly. Your father brought you here because he is concerned about your health. Now we need to focus on making sure you and the baby are okay. That is why it is so important that you go to the hospital immediately. He handed Sophie the printed ultrasound image and she accepted it, her eyes fixed on the black and white picture. To her, the image looked more like an abstract pattern than anything identifiable. Through the glass panel in the door, Dr. Bennett could see Victor returning from the pharmacy. The moment had passed. Maria helped Sophie sit up, and they prepared to leave. Dr. Bennett watched Victor pick up his daughter, his hand firmly on her shoulder as they left the clinic. After Victor and Sophie left, Maria returned to the examination room, her worried expression as she gathered the remaining ultrasound prints. 9 o'clock, she announced, looking at her watch. That concludes today, right? Dr. Bennett nodded, still disturbed by Sophie's enigmatic statement. Yes, they were our last patients. Maria began shutting down the ultrasound equipment, her movements efficient but thoughtful. That was unusual, do you not think? Zrenia finally asked, the girl hiding her pregnancy for 28 weeks, and what she said when her father left the room. I know, Doctor. Bennett agreed, leaning against his desk. It certainly was strange. What do you think she meant by that? Maria insisted on the baby kicking when she hears her father's voice and that she does not like the baby responding to him. Dr. Bennett ran a hand through his hair. I suppose she must have hidden the pregnancy from her father until recently. That is why he only brought her in now. Maybe he was upset when he found out, and that is why she is expressing those feelings. Maria was unconvinced, but she specifically said the baby kicks when it hears her father's voice and that she does not like it. Do you not find that peculiar? It could be teenage hormones combined with pregnancy hormones, Dr. Bennett suggested, although the explanation seemed inadequate even to him. Mood swings and emotional intensity are common in both. Maria nodded slowly, though uncertainty lingered in her eyes. I hope they visit the hospital as you advise. Me too, said Dr. Bennett. That baby needs proper monitoring. They finished closing the clinic, turning off lights and securing cabinets. The rest of the staff had already left, leaving only the two of them to lock up the building. They went out together into the cool night air, the parking lot nearly empty. Have a good night, Doctor, Maria said, heading to her vehicle. You too, Maria. See you tomorrow. Dr. Bennett got into a sedan, started the engine, and drove out of the parking lot. His mind kept replaying the ultrasound, searching for clues in the father-daughter interaction. Something felt wrong, but he could not pinpoint it. As he turned toward his neighborhood, the streetlights cast long shadows on the quiet residential street. He slowed down as he approached the Eagle residence, 3 houses beyond. His own. Their car was parked in the driveway. They did not go to the hospital. He murmured to himself, a spark of worry lighting in his chest. He continued driving to his home, pulled into his driveway, and turned off the engine. Sitting in the darkness of his car, he debated internally. Perhaps they did not understand the severity of the situation. The irregular heartbeat, the growth restriction, these were not minor problems, especially for a 14-year-old mother. He should just go inside, have dinner, and end his day. It was not his duty to chase after patients who ignored his medical advice. But Sophie's words echoed in his mind. She kicks when she hears his voice. I hate that, she responds to him. With a sigh, Dr. Bennett got out of his car and walked back down the street to the Eagle house. The lights were on inside. A warm glow emanated from the windows. He hesitated. Then he firmly knocked on the front door. After a moment, the door opened and Victor was there. Surprise crossed his face before he composed it into a neutral expression. Dr. Bennett, is everything all right? I was just checking. Doctor, Bennett said, trying to keep a casual tone. I noticed your car was here, and I was worried, because I recommended you take Sophie to the hospital immediately. Victor's expression changed almost imperceptibly. Ah, yes, thank you for your concern. Sophie has gone to the hospital with her mother. I stayed here to finish some work. Dr. Bennett blinked, confused by this information. This was the first mention of Sophie's mother being involved. I see, he said carefully. That is good to know. I was worried about the baby's condition. Yes, well, she is in good hands now, Victor said abruptly. Thank you for stopping by, doctor, but it is getting late, and I have work to finish. Of course. Dr. Bennett nodded. Sorry to bother you. Good night, Mr. Eagle. Good night. The door closed firmly behind him, leaving Dr. Bennett standing on the porch with growing unease in his gut. As he walked back to his house, Victor's explanation repeated in his mind. He could only hope it was truthful. Inside his kitchen, Dr. Bennett opened the refrigerator and looked inside, his appetite diminished by the persistent feeling that something was wrong with the girl. She took out the leftover food from the previous night, pasta with chicken, and placed it in the microwave. While waiting for her meal to heat up, Maria's worries echoed in her mind. The way Victor had dominated the conversation by answering questions meant for Sophie, the girl's reluctance to make eye contact, her enigmatic comment about the baby, and now Victor's claim that Sophie had gone to the hospital with her mother. The microwave beeped, but Dr. Bennett barely noticed. A realization struck him. Despite living only 3 houses away from the Eagle family for more than a year, he had rarely seen Sophie or her mother outside. He knew Victor had a daughter, but their interactions had been limited to occasional greetings at the entrance or brief exchanges at neighborhood meetings, always with Victor alone. As for his wife, he could not even remember the last time he had seen her. He took his plate to his home office, a small room with a desk, a computer, and shelves filled with medical volumes. Setting aside his dinner, he opened his laptop and navigated to Facebook. This probably crosses some professional boundaries, he murmured to himself. But something is not right. He searched for Victor Eagle and quickly located his profile. Victor's privacy settings were minimal, allowing Dr. Bennett to browse. Through his photos and information, he scrolled through the friends list looking for someone who might be Sophie's mother. Laura Jensen, he read aloud. The name sounded vaguely familiar, as if he had heard it long ago. Her profile picture sparked something in his memory. The woman's face bore a subtle resemblance to Sophie, and he was almost certain he had seen her before, sometime in the past. He clicked on the profile, examining the limited information visible to the public. Laura's page had few recent photos with Victor or Sophie. In fact, browsing through her timeline, Dr. Bennett noticed a clear absence of family photos for several years. There were images of Laura at work events with friends, but none with her daughter. If they were separated, that would make sense, he reflected aloud. But then, why would Victor say that Sophie went to the hospital with her? Dr. Bennett was crossing professional boundaries by investigating his patient's family in this way. But Sophie's well-being and potential safety outweighed his hesitation. He clicked on a messaging icon and began writing a message to Laura. Hello, Mrs. Jensen. I apologize for contacting you this way, but I am Dr. Thomas Bennett, a family physician who examined your daughter Sophie today. I just wanted to check how the hospital visit is progressing. Again, sorry for the intrusion. He paused before sending, aware this message might upset or confuse her, but his concern for Sophie prevailed, and he sent it. Dr. Bennett ate his dinner while periodically watching the screen for a reply. None came. He cleared his plate, changed into more comfortable clothes, and prepared for bed, checking his phone one last time before lying down. While lying in bed staring at the ceiling, his phone made a notification sound. He grabbed it quickly, seeing a message from Laura Jensen. What? Hospital visit? Is something wrong with Sophie? Before he could reply, his phone started ringing. A Facebook call from Laura. He sat up in bed and answered. Hello, this is Dr. Bennett speaking. Doctor, what is going on? Laura's voice was tense with worry. What do you mean a hospital visit? I am not at any hospital with Sophie. Dr. Bennett's stomach twisted. Mrs. Jensen, I examined your daughter at my clinic tonight. She was brought in by her father, Victor. She is approximately 28 weeks pregnant. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end of the line. That is impossible, she whispered. I have not seen Sophie in almost 3 years. Victor and I divorced 10 years ago. He has full custody, and I am not allowed near her. Dr. Bennett closed his eyes. The pieces were starting to come together. Mrs. Jensen, I need to explain the situation. Clearly, Sophie came to my clinic with Victor tonight. She is in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy with intrauterine growth restriction, which means the fetus is not developing at a normal rate. This can happen due to placental problems, maternal health issues, or fetal conditions. He paused to breathe. I also detected an irregular fetal heartbeat. I advised him to go to the hospital immediately so specialists could perform Doppler studies and evaluate the baby's development. If there is organ underdevelopment, especially in the lungs and brain, there are treatments that could help before it is too late. Laura was silent for a long moment before responding. Oh my God, she finally said, in a broken voice. My baby is only 14 years old. How could this happen? Who did this to her? Victor said she has a boyfriend, replied Dr. Bennett, although he now questioned everything Victor had told him. I do not know what to do, said Laura, sounding overwhelmed. I want to see her right now, but I am not allowed near her. The restraining order is in effect. Please, doctor, make sure she is okay. If she is not, contact the police. I do not care if Victor reports me for violating the order. We are talking about my daughter. I understand, Dr. Bennett assured her, but we must be cautious. Sophie is in a delicate condition, and we do not want to trigger premature labor by causing her additional stress. You are right. Laura reluctantly agreed. What will you do? I will check on her again, promised Dr. Bennett, and keep you informed. For now, it is probably best that you stay where you are. After ending the call, Dr. Bennett accessed the electronic medical records of his clinic from his laptop. He retrieved the ultrasound images from Sophie's examination, studying them carefully. The images confirmed his initial assessment: restricted growth, potentially compromised placental function, and worrying signs of decreased blood flow to the fetus. This meant less oxygen and fewer nutrients were reaching the baby, a situation that could deteriorate quickly. The clock on his nightstand read 10:15 at night. It was late for home visits, but the man had clearly lied while his daughter needed medical care. Dr. Bennett decided this could not wait until morning. By then, Victor might be at work or come up with another excuse. Dr. Bennett quickly changed back into street clothes and left his house. The night had grown cooler. A light fog was beginning to settle over the suburban neighborhood. The Eagle House loomed against the night sky, its windows still illuminated. He approached the front door with determination, prepared to confront Victor about his lie and insist that Sophie receive immediate medical attention. He firmly knocked, rehearsing what he would say when Victor answered. But when the door opened, it was not Victor who stood in the doorway, but Sophie. Her eyes widened slightly upon seeing him. "Dr. Bennett," she whispered, nervously glancing over her shoulder. "Sophie," he said softly, "you went to the hospital." She shook her head, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her sweatshirt. "Sophie, I need you to tell me the truth," said Dr. Bennett, keeping his voice low. "What is going on here? Why have you hidden your pregnancy for so long?" Sophia opened her mouth to speak, but before she could say anything, Victor's voice thundered from inside the house. "Who is Sophia?" "It is the delivery. Man, why are you taking so long?" Fear crossed Sophia's face. "Please go away," she whispered as she closed the door. "Please." Dr. Bennett placed his hand on the door to prevent it from closing completely. "Sophie, can I help you?" "Let me help you." "I cannot," she breathed, pushing the door to close it. Dr. Bennett stayed on the porch, conflicted. Technically, he fulfilled his duty. He had informed Victor the risks and urged him to seek hospital care. He could not force them to follow his advice, but something about the house felt wrong, deeply troubling, and he could not just walk away. He had made a promise to Laura, and that promise still weighed heavily. As he turned to leave, the front door open again. This time Victor was in the doorway, his expression dark with irritation. "Dr. Bennett," he said in a tense voice, "why do you keep coming to my house?" "It is late at night, Mr. Eagle," began Dr. Bennett, struggling to keep professional tone. "I am worried about Sophia's condition. You told me she went to the hospital with her mother, but I just found out that is not true." Victor's jaw tightened. "Have you been investigating me? Who I take my daughter to see is none of your business. As her doctor of health is my business," responded Dr. Bennett. "The baby's condition is serious. Delaying treatment could lead to complications or worse." Victor stared at him, ready to respond when a light came on in the next door neighbor's house. A curtain moved. Someone was clearly watching the nighttime confrontation unfolding on the porch. Victor's behavior changed abruptly. "Perhaps we should continue this conversation inside," his voice, suddenly conciliatory, suggested. "There is no need to disturb the whole neighborhood." Dr. Bennett hesitated, then nodded. Victor stepped back, allowing him to enter the house. The sparsely furnished living room had a worn sofa, coffee table, and a television mounted on the wall. Sophie sat on the edge of the sofa, her hands folded in her lap, eyes fixed on the floor. "Sophie," said Dr. Bennett gently, "how do you feel?" Victor interrupted before she could respond. "She is fine, just tired. Pregnant women get tired, do not they, doctor?" Dr. Bennett turned to face Victor directly. "Mr. Eagle, you need to understand the seriousness of the situation. The ultrasound showed intrauterine growth restriction and an irregular fetal heartbeat. These conditions require immediate medical attention, and we will get that care," Victor replied, his tone soothing but his eyes cold. "First thing tomorrow morning." "Why delay it?" "Because it is late," said Victor, pointing to the clock on the wall. "Sophie needs to rest. She is exhausted. Dragging her to an emergency room where we will wait for hours is not what she needs right now. The baby could be in danger," argued Dr. Bennett. "Every hour matters in a situation like this." Victor's expression hardened. "The baby will not die overnight." Dr. Bennett stepped back at the coldness of the statement. Before he could reply, the doorbell rang. Victor's shoulders relaxed slightly. "That must be the delivery man. I ordered dinner for us." He turned to Sophie, wait here with the doctor. I will get the food. As Victor walked to the door, Doctor Bennett took the opportunity to approach Sophie. Are you okay? He asked softly. Is there something you want to tell me? Sophie looked toward the door where her father was, paying the delivery man, searching for change in his pockets. Then quickly Sophie took several folded photographs from her pocket. She handed them to Dr. Bennett. Just as Victor was turning toward them, Dr. Bennett discreetly slipped the photos into his jacket pocket without examining them. Sophie leaned closer and whispered more in the bedroom. I will help you, promised Dr. Bennett, keeping his voice low. She is being very brave. Victor returned with a pizza box. What are you two talking about? Sophie was telling me she is hungry, improvised Dr. Bennett naturally, which is good. She needs proper nutrition. See? I am a good father, said Victor, placing the pizza on the coffee table. I make sure she eats well. He turned to Dr. Bennett, his behavior shifting from defensive to disdainful. I appreciate your concern, doctor, but it is getting late. As you said, pregnant women need to rest. If she does not sleep properly, that would also be bad for the baby, would it not? Dr. Bennett acknowledged the farewell. Yes, rest is important, he conceded, but medical care is also important, and she will receive it first thing in the morning, Victor insisted. I promise. Seeing no way to pressure further without escalating the situation, Dr. Bennett reluctantly headed toward the door. I will check tomorrow how the hospital visit went. He sent a clear message that he would not abandon the matter. Of course, replied Victor, his smile not reaching his eyes. Good night, doctor. As Dr. Bennett left, he looked back through the window and saw Victor and Sophie sitting at the table, the open pizza box between them. Victor was talking, his gestures animated, while Sophie remained still, eyes lowered. Once back home, Dr. Bennett quickly took the photographs from his pocket. What he saw made his blood run cold. There were 4 photos, each showing Sophie in various states of undress on what appeared to be a bed, with Victor clearly visible. In the images, the photos documented the abuse in graphic detail. My God, whispered Dr. Bennett, his hands trembling with anger and disgust, quickly placing the photos face down on his desk, unable to look at them any longer. Sophie's words from the clinic echoed in his mind with new and horrifying context. She kicks when she hears his voice. She hates that she answers to him. The truth fell on him like a physical. Wait, Victor was not only Sophie's father, he was the father of her baby. There was no boyfriend, there was only a predator, and his victim living just 3 houses away. Dr. Bennett reached for his phone and dialed 911. Emergency services. The operator's voice came. What is your emergency? I need to report child abuse and endangerment, said Dr. Bennett, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. A young girl, 14 years of age, is 28 weeks pregnant. The father is the abuser, and both the girl and her unborn child require immediate medical attention. As Dr. Bennett waited for police to arrive, his mind raced. The photographs in his possession were damning evidence, but he had to ensure they reached the proper authorities. He also needed to alert Laura about what was unfolding. He took pictures of the printed photographs using his phone, making sure the images were clear enough to serve as evidence should the originals be lost or destroyed. He then sent them to Laura via Facebook Messenger, along with a brief message explaining that he had contacted the police and that they were on their way to Victor's house. His phone rang. Almost immediately, Laura was calling back. I am going there right now, she said, her voice raw with emotion. That monster, I will kill him myself. Laura, please let the police handle this, urged Dr. Bennett. They are on their way. The most important thing right now is to get Sophie safely out of that house and to a hospital. How could this happen? Sobbed Laura. How could he do this to his own daughter? I knew something was wrong when he fought so hard for custody, but I never imagined, never thought he could I am so sorry, said Dr. Bennett, unable to find more comforting words. But Sophie asked for help tonight. She was incredibly brave, and now we can get her away from him. I am still going, insisted Laura. I need to be there for my daughter. Of course, agreed Dr. Bennett. Just please let the police do their job first. After hanging up, Dr. Bennett paced his living room, glancing out the window every few minutes looking for any sign of the police's arrival. It felt like hours, although his watch said only 20 minutes had passed since his call. At last, he saw the flashing lights of patrol cars turning onto his street, moving slowly and silently without sirens. A tactical approach to avoid alerting Victor. Dr. Bennett rushed outside to meet them. 3 police cars stopped a short distance from the Eagle residence. 6 officers emerged, and Dr. Bennett approached the one who appeared to be in charge. Dr. Thomas Bennett. He introduced himself. I made the call. The officer nodded. Detective Reynolds. You have evidence of sexual abuse. Dr. Bennett handed over the photographs. These were given to me by the victim less than an hour ago. She indicated there may be more in the house. Detective Reynolds studied the photos, his expression hardening. And the girl is pregnant. Yes, 28 weeks. There are serious medical concerns for both her and the baby. She needs hospital care immediately. Another officer approached. The house is quiet, Detective. Lights are still on inside. Very well, said Detective Reynolds, handing the photos to another officer, who placed them in an evidence bag. Dr. Bennett, please wait here. We will approach the house. The officers advanced toward the Eagle residence, positioning themselves strategically around the property. Detective Reynolds and another officer moved to the front door, while the others covered possible escape routes. Dr. Bennett watched as Detective Reynolds knocked firmly on the door. No answer. He knocked again, louder this time, announcing police presence. Still, nothing. The officers exchanged looks. Detective Reynolds spoke into his radio, and moments later, officers at the back of the house confirmed they could see movement inside, but no one approaching the door. After several more attempts, Detective Reynolds made a decision. We are going in, he announced to his team. Possible minor. In danger inside. An officer brought a battering ram, positioned against the door, and, with 3 solid blows, the door frame splintered and gave way. Dr. Bennett remained at the perimeter as instructed, straining to see what was happening. The officers entered the home, their voices calling out police. Pinewood Police Department. Neighbors had begun to come out of their homes, drawn by the commotion. Victor's next-door neighbors, an older couple who had witnessed the earlier confrontation from their window, approached Dr. Bennett. What is going on? Asked the woman, clutching her robe close at the neck. Before Dr. Bennett could respond, screams erupted from inside the house, followed by officers rushing upstairs. Then more shouting came, this time from outside the house. There on the roof, someone shouted. Dr. Bennett looked up to see Victor climbing through an attic window onto the roof, above the garage. He was pulling Sophie behind him, his grip tight on her wrist as she struggled to maintain balance on the steep slope. Stay back, he shouted when he saw the officers below. I will push her if you come any closer. We are a family. If I fall, we all fall together. Sophie was crying, her free hand protectively covering her pregnant belly. Please do not, she pleaded, her voice ringing out into the night air. Please help me. The police below immediately backed off, calling over their radio for additional support. Dr. Bennett heard them requesting paramedics and what sounded like an inflatable landing mat. Victor, called Dr. Bennett, stepping forward despite an officer's warning. Do not do this. The police have the photographs. They know everything. Victor's face twisted in rage. She gave you those photos. The little traitor, he spat at. Sophie, after everything I have done for you, you do not deserve to live. A car screeched to A stop at the edge of the police perimeter. Laura jumped out, running toward the house, before an officer intercepted her. "That is my daughter," she screamed, struggling against the officer's grip. "Sophie, I am here, baby, I am here." Sophie's tear-streaked face turned toward her mother's voice. "Mother." The momentary distraction was enough for Victor to pull Sophie farther onto the roof. Officers below had managed to deploy a large inflatable safety mat, positioning it beneath them. Victor Eagle called Detective Reynolds. Through a megaphone, "I am Detective Reynolds of the Pinewood Police Department. Release the girl and surrender. There is nowhere to go." Dr. Bennett could see officers now positioning themselves at the attic window, preparing to seize Victor from behind. But Victor saw them too. He screamed, pulling Sophie closer to the edge. "I will jump with her if I have to." Laura broke free from the officer restraining her. "Please, Victor, she is our daughter. Do not hurt her. She is mine," he growled. "You never deserved her. You never deserved either of them." In that moment, Dr. Bennett realized with horror that Victor was referring not only to Sophie but also to her unborn child as his possessions, his to control, his to destroy. Officers at the attic window began to emerge onto the roof. Victor, seeing his escape route blocked and the authorities approaching, made his decision. "No," screamed Dr. Bennett, but it was too late. Victor pushed Sophie off the roof. She fell with a terrified scream, landing on an inflatable safety cushion below. The officers immediately rushed to help her, while others lunged toward Victor, who attempted to jump in a different direction to escape. He did not get far. Two officers tackled him mid-jump, slamming him onto the roof with enough force to knock the breath out of him. They quickly handcuffed him and began the process of getting him down safely, though with considerably less care than they had shown Sophie. Dr. Bennett ran to where Sophie lay on the safety cushion, paramedics already checking her. "Vital signs. I am her doctor," he explained, kneeling beside her. "Sophie, can you hear me?" Her eyes opened, tears streaming down her face. "The baby," she whispered, "is the baby." "All right." Dr. Bennett placed a gentle hand on her abdomen, feeling for movement. "We're going to take you to the hospital to make sure, but I believe she is going to be all right. You were very brave, Sophie, incredibly brave." The night air was filled with the flashing lights of police cars and ambulances. The officers escorted a handcuffed Victor to a waiting patrol car, his face twisted in rage. As they passed by Laura, who was anxiously watching the paramedics tend to Sophie, Victor spat in her direction. "This is your fault," he growled. "You were never a real mother to her." Laura lunged forward, her composure shattering. "Monster, what you did to our daughter is inhuman." An officer stepped between them, guiding Laura back as his colleagues pushed Victor toward the police car. "He should rot in prison forever," sobbed Laura as Dr. Bennett approached. "I always knew something was wrong with him, but this you could not have known," said Dr. Bennett gently. "Predators like Victor are experts at hiding their true nature." The paramedics had stabilized Sophie on a stretcher and were preparing to load her into the ambulance. Dr. Bennett guided Laura toward them. "She needs you now," he said. "Focus on Sophie, not on him." Laura nodded, wiping tears from her face as she approached the stretcher. When Sophie saw her mother, her eyes filled with fresh tears. "Mom," she whispered, reaching out a trembling hand. "I missed you." Laura took her daughter's hand, kissing it as tears streamed down her face. "I miss you too, baby, so much. I am here now, and I will never leave you again." Dr. Bennett approached the lead paramedic. "I am her doctor. I would like to ride with you to the hospital, if that is all right." The paramedic nodded. "We could use your input on her condition, doctor." As they loaded Sophie into the ambulance, Detective Reynolds approached Dr. Bennett. "Doctor, we will need to speak with you at the hospital. And with you as well, ma'am. He added to Laura, "But for now, go with your daughter. We will meet you there." Laura climbed into the ambulance beside Sophie, never letting go of her daughter's hand. Dr. Bennett followed, sitting across from them while the paramedics continued to monitor Sophie's vital signs. In the ambulance, Dr. Bennett used a stethoscope to listen to the baby's heartbeat. The heartbeat is still irregular but strong. He told Sophie, "The fall does not appear to have caused any immediate trauma, but the hospital will conduct a more thorough examination." The ambulance sped through the quiet streets of Pinewood, its siren wailing. Dr. Bennett watched as Laura gently stroked Sophie's hair, whispering words of comfort. Despite the years of separation, their bond remained a testament to the resilience of family ties in the face of monstrous interference. They arrived at the hospital where an emergency obstetric team was waiting. Dr. Bennett briefly explained the situation to the attending physician, Dr. Gabriela Ramirez, a specialist in high-risk pregnancies. 28 weeks with intrauterine growth restriction and fetal arrhythmia. He summarized as they wheeled Sophie into an examination room. Also potential trauma from a fall, although she landed on an inflatable safety cushion. Dr. Ramirez nodded. "We will take it from here." Dr. Bennett, "Thank you for your swift action tonight." As the medical team began their work, Dr. Bennett joined Laura in the waiting room. Detective Reynolds arrived shortly after, accompanied by another officer and a woman who introduced herself as Sarah Parker from Child Protective Services. "We need to understand exactly what happened tonight," began Detective Reynolds. "Dr. Bennett, please start from the beginning." Dr. Bennett recounted the events of the evening, from Sophie's visit to his clinic to his growing concerns and eventual discovery of the truth through the photographs. Victor claimed that the father of the baby was a boyfriend. He explained. But Sophie's comment at the clinic about the baby kicking, when I heard his voice now, takes on a horrifying meaning. Detective Reynolds nodded grimly. "We found a hidden room in the basement, just as you suspected from what Sophie told you. It appears to be where much of the abuse occurred. There were cameras, recording equipment, and other items." Laura covered her mouth, stifling a sob. Her bedroom contained hundreds of photographs of Sophie. The detective continued, "Some dating back several years. This has been going on for a long time." "How could this happen?" asked Laura, her voice breaking. "How could no one notice?" "Predators like Victor are skilled at isolation and manipulation," explained Ms. Parker from Child Protective Services. "They gradually sever their victims' ties with support systems, friends, family, even school. We will have a clearer picture once Sophie can share a statement." Detective Reynolds turned to Laura. "Mrs. Jensen, we need to understand how Victor obtained custody of Sophie. Could you help us build a stronger case against him?" Laura wiped her eyes, her expression stricken. "I am not proud of what happened after Victor and I divorced 10 years ago. I was a single mother working night shifts at a casino. We were struggling financially." She took a steadying breath before continuing. "I began attending underground poker games, thinking I could stretch my paychecks and give Sophie a better life. But it quickly became an addiction. One night the game was raided, and that is when the police discovered that I had left Sophie, only 7 years old at the time, home alone." Tears streamed down her face. Victor seized the opportunity. He presented himself as a stable and responsible father. The court awarded him custody, and I was only allowed supervised visits. Then he moved to Pinewood and obtained a restraining order, claiming that I was unstable and a bad influence on Sophie. She isolated her systematically." Mrs. Parker nodded. "It's a common tactic. I've spent the last 3 years rebuilding my life and moving to this neighborhood," said Laura. "I now have a stable job and an apartment, with a second bedroom ready for Sophie. I've been saving every penny I could fight for custody again, but Victor blocked every attempt I made to contact her." Dr. Ramirez walked out of the exam room, before anyone could respond. Everyone turned to her, expectantly. "Sophia is stable," she reported. "The baby's heartbeat is still irregular, but we've started medication to help with that. We've also begun steroid injections to accelerate fetal lung maturation, which is crucial in IUGR cases. She's severely malnourished and shows signs of long-term stress and trauma, but physically, she should recover." "And the baby?" Laura asked anxiously. "We're monitoring the situation closely," said Dr. Ramirez. "The next 48 hours are critical. The fall doesn't appear to have caused a placental abruption, which is good news. But the pre-existing conditions, the growth restriction and the cardiac irregularities, remain concerning." "Can we see her?" Dr. Bennett asked. Dr. Ramirez nodded. "She's asking for her mother. And you too, doctor. She says you saved her life." The hospital room was dimly lit, the steady beeping of monitors providing a rhythmic background. Sophie lay propped up on pillows, and four in her arm and fetal monitors strapped across her swollen abdomen. Despite everything she'd endured, there was something different in her now, a spark in her eyes that hadn't been there before. The weight of her secret had been lifted. Laura approached her daughter's bed, her steps hesitant, as if fearing Sophie might disappear. "Sophie," she whispered, gently taking her daughter's hand. "My brave and beautiful girl." Sophie's eyes filled with tears. "Mom," she said, her voice stronger than it had been before. "You came back for me." "I never stopped trying," Laura assured her, sitting carefully on the edge of the bed. "Your father made it impossible, but that's over now. He'll never hurt you again." Dr. Bennett stood respectfully at the foot of the bed, giving space for mother and daughter to reunite. Detective Reynolds and Mrs. Parker from Child Protective Services waited by the door, understanding the sensitivity of the moment. After a few minutes, Sophie looked at Dr. Bennett. "Thank you," she said simply, "for believing me, for helping us." "You're the brave one, Sophie," replied Dr. Bennett. "You found courage to ask for help, and that's what saved you and your baby." Detective Reynolds stepped forward. "Sophie, I know this is hard, but we need to ask you some questions to help build our case against your father. Is that okay?" Sophie looked at her mother, who squeezed her hand reassuringly. "It's your choice, sweetheart. Whatever you decide, I'm here with you." Sophia nodded slowly. "I want to tell the truth. The whole truth." "Take your time," said Mrs. Parker gently. "And if you need to stop at any point, just say so." Sophie took a deep breath and began to speak, her voice growing stronger as she went on. "There was never a boyfriend," she confirmed what they had already suspected. "My father is also my baby's father." She described how Victor had started abusing her shortly after gaining full custody, how he had systematically cut her off from the outside world. "He took me out of school, saying he would homeschool me, but there were never real lessons, just enough so I could answer basic questions if someone asked. The abuse got worse over the years. When someone came to the house, he'd lock me in the basement. There's a hidden room down there that he built. That's where most of it happened." Dr. Bennett thought of the evidence the police had found in that basement room and felt a wave of nausea. "When I got pregnant," Sophie continued, "he was angry at first. He talked about making me get an abortion, but then he changed his mind. He became protective of the baby, said she was ours." She shuddered at the memory. "The baby started kicking a few months ago. I noticed she kicked every time she heard his voice. It made me sick. I hated that she reacted to him." Sophie placed a protective hand over her belly. "But it's not her fault. She's innocent in all of this." "Of course she is," Laura assured her. "I started feeling very sick about 2 weeks ago," Sophie explained. "Severe stomach pain and dizziness. At first, he ignored it, but when I could barely get out of bed, he finally decided to take me to a doctor. That's when we went to Dr. Bennett's clinic." Detective Reynolds nodded, taking notes. The photographs you gave Dr. Bennett. How did you manage to get them? My father took pictures all the time, she said softly. He kept them in a box in his closet. I stole some while he was in the shower tonight, before we went to the clinic. I knew he'd be out of the house to take us there. He hadn't let me leave in a long time. I didn't know what to do with the photos, who to trust. But when Dr. Bennett came to our house, I thought maybe he could help. You did exactly the right thing, Dr. Bennett assured her. Dr. Ramirez returned to check on Sophie and assessed the fetal monitoring strips. The medication seems to be helping with the cardiac irregularities, she reported. And your vital signs are stabilizing. Sophie, that's excellent news. What happens now? Sophia asked, looking between the adults in the room. Mrs. Parker stepped forward. You'll stay in a hospital until you're medically cleared for discharge. After that, we'll need to determine the best living situation for you and your baby. She's coming home with me, Laura said firmly. I prepared for this for years. I have a room for her, savings for her care, everything. Mrs. Parker nodded. Given the circumstances, that seems like the most appropriate placement. We'll need to do a home evaluation, but as long as everything checks out, I don't foresee any issues with placing Sophie in your care. And what about my father? Sophia asked hesitantly. He's in custody, Detective Reynolds assured her. Given the evidence we've already collected, the photographs, the hidden room, your testimony, he's facing multiple felony charges: child abuse, sexual, assault, incest, endangering a minor, and more. He won't be getting out of prison for a very, very long time. Sophia nodded, a mixture of emotions crossing her face: relief, sorrow, and something like closure. And the baby? She asked, turning to Dr. Ramirez. Will she be okay? We're doing everything we can, Dr. Ramirez promised. The next few weeks will be crucial. We'll continue the steroid injections to help develop her lungs. We'll monitor her heart closely and focus on improving your nutrition to give her the best chance possible. I want to keep her, Sophie said quietly, surprising everyone in the room. I know I'm young, but she's not responsible for how she came into this world. I don't want her to suffer for what he did. Laura squeezed her daughter's hand. We'll raise her together, she promised. You, me, and your daughter will be loved and protected always. As night deepened, Detective Reynolds and Mrs. Parker left, promising to return the next day. Dr. Ramirez completed her exam and moved on to check other patients. Laura settled into the chair beside Sophia's bed, unwilling to leave. Her daughter sighed even for a moment. Dr. Bennett also prepared to leave, his professional duties fulfilled, though his heart still heavy with everything he had witnessed. Dr. Bennett. Sophie called as he reached the door. Thank you for listening, for noticing something was wrong. He turned to her, struck by the resilience in her young face. I'm glad I could help. You did more than help, Laura added. You saved them both when everyone else looked away. As Dr. Bennett drove home in the early morning hours, the streets of Pinewood were quiet and empty. He reflected on the night's events, his decision to trust his instincts to cross professional boundaries when a child's safety was at stake had made all the difference. The neighborhood was silent as he returned. The Eagle House, now a crime scene marked off with yellow police tape. By morning, the neighbors would wake to a changed street, a community, forced to confront the horror that had lived among them, unnoticed for years. Dr. Bennett entered his home exhausted, but at peace with the decisions he had made. In medicine, the mandate was clear. First, do no harm. But sometimes doing good required more than avoiding harm. It required action, courage, and the willingness to see what others ignored. As he finally laid down to rest, Dr. Bennett thought of Sophie and her daughter Nona, both victims of unspeakable cruelty, both now with a chance at a new beginning. Their path to healing would be long and difficult, but they would not walk it alone. Sometimes he reflected as sleep finally claimed him. The most important diagnosis was the one that went beyond medical symptoms, the one that recognized the human suffering beneath the surface, the silent cries for help spoken through, averted eyes, cryptic words, and desperate acts of courageous trust. In the end, it wasn't just medical knowledge that saved lives. It was compassion, attention, and the bravery to act when others turned away.